Hello, everybody. It's Mrs. Conrad. I'm at school, so I don't have my trusty sidekick Rojo, but I do have my cup of coffee. And today we are going to be learning about breaking down essay prompts. As you know, we're going to start to write an essay next week. Our first essay is an informational essay. And I'm going to focus on our specific the prompt we're going to be using next week. However, I hope what you think about today and the strategies you learn will help you break down all your essay prompts. Because really breaking down an essay is the prompt is the best way to be successful on your essay. Okay, so we are writing an informational essay, which is sometimes called an expository essay. And here's the prompt. Write a multi-paragraph response in which you analyze how both authors express the idea that animals and humans can benefit each other. Your response must be based on ideas and information that can be found in these selections. So, boys and girls, I'm going to take the first part of this and tell you what multi-paragraph means. In the world of language arts and sixth grade and the state of Ohio and testing, multi-paragraph simply means you have an introduction, you have body paragraphs, whether it's one, two, or three. We aim for at least two, but often three body paragraphs and a conclusion. So when it tells you to write a multi-paragraph response, that's your job. Your introduction and conclusion can be shorter than the body paragraphs, but you need to have. The second big word in this prompt is the word analyze. It tells you to analyze how authors express an idea. So what does it mean to analyze? Well, to analyze means to examine something very carefully, think about it, and try to understand. So I have this picture of this figure looking at a magnifying glass. So when you use a magnifying glass, you're really trying to get close to it, get close up, and try to really understand. So far, we know you're going to write an essay with an introduction, body paragraphs, and conclusion in which you really closely look at what are we closely looking at? How both authors, well, who are both authors? Oh, that's the author of Hachiko and the author of Pet Therapy. Now, if you're taking a state test, it might say how both selections do a task. But in this case, we're saying both authors because we know the authors' names. Okay? So we're writing an essay where we really try to understand how two authors do what? Oh, express an idea. So let's look at the word express. Well, the prefix ex means out, and express uses that prefix to mean how they point out something. All right. So think of express as pointing out or making very clear, showing it directly to someone. So let's backtrack, shall we? We're writing an essay with an introduction, several body paragraphs, and a conclusion, where we study carefully how two authors, see the writing utensil, express or get out what? Well, express the idea that animals and humans can benefit each other. Oof, you better know what benefit means. Well, here's another little lesson on words and breaking words apart into their affixes. But in the word benefit, we have the root bene, which means well. It's a Latin root. I took 4 years of Latin in high school. And it means good or well. Other words that use this word root are benevolent, beneficial. But when we're talking about how animals and humans benefit each other, it's how they are good for each other. All right. And that can be good in a lot of different ways. It can be good emotionally, it can be good physically, it can be good spiritually. All right. So We're writing an essay with an intro, body paragraphs, conclusion. And we're writing that essay to really study and show how two writers get out the idea that animals and humans can benefit. Now, what they're asking us is this. They want to know what the authors did. So you have to think about this. You are doing something probably different than you've ever done. You are telling the reader what the author's strategies were, what the author used to teach that animals and humans benefit each other. All right, let's try and erase this to the best of our ability. And then we're going to move on. The last sentence says, whoop, your response must be based on ideas and information that can be found in these selections. And the selections will be Hachiko and pet therapy. The final part of the prompt, whoop, says this. It says, manage your time carefully. Now, this is particularly relevant when you're taking a state test, the OAAs, because you don't have a lot of time. You have plenty, you have enough, but you don't have all the time in the world. So you do need to pay attention because when you're taking a state test, you have to review the passages. Well, we've been reviewing these passages for the last couple of days, and we already made a graphic organizer. So we're good there. Plan your response. We're going to be planning that next week. And then you have to write it. And then finally, you have to go back and revise and edit your response. The last bullet points are also very important. Some repetitive, include an introduction. We know that. Use evidence from the passages to support your explanation or thesis. Don't worry, I'm going to tell you about a thesis next week. Well, we're using an evidence table to collect evidence. So we're going to have that. It says to avoid overly relying on one passage. That just means you're not going to only write with evidence from Hachiko or only write with evidence from pet therapy. And of course, we know to include a conclusion. So that's it. If you follow these tips in breaking down a prompt, you are going to write a very successful essay. And I cannot wait to see them and grade them.